Well, hello, hello. Welcome. Hello, ladies. This is Taylor Thompson coming to you live on the network where we are sharing her excellence. And I have a special, amazing guest here today. I cannot wait for you to get to meet her. I had the opportunity to meet her. Love this new platform we call Clubhouse. If you haven't been introduced to that, certainly something that you might want to consider and check out. And if you need an invitation, maybe you connect with me because I have several invitations to hand out here. So as you're coming on, let us know you're here. We want to say hi and we want to welcome you. But hello, Jessica. Glad that you're here. I love it. And so we want to say hi. We want to see where you're coming in from. If this is your first time, then definitely drop a 1. Let us know that it's you. And if you come in on a replay, do it #replay so we can say hi as well. So I want to introduce to you my beautiful friend, Miss Cris Cortez. Cris, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. It was so great to finally see the face. I mean, I've seen the picture face, but I've seen the voice, hear the voice behind the face on the Clubhouse app. And so I love that we were able to connect, behind the scenes and to be able to, have this conversation here. So welcome to the She Network.
Well, thank you for having me, Taylor. It's so nice to meet you too. Like you said, I'm like, the face, the voice. I was like, yay.
I love that. So, whenever we talk here in the She Network, we talk about sharing her excellence, and there was so many things that we have in common in our background. But, one of the things that you were talking about, like the things that you love is like your story and your story being your power. So I want to really dive into that because I think to me, we are kindred spirits and from that perspective, because I do believe your power is in your story. And sometimes women, we don't always realize our excellence is really in our journey and being able to bring that forward and to be able to connect and relate to other women. So, you talked a little bit about, being bullied and having, an eating disorder and how you are amazing from many different people that I've connected with. So tell us about you. We want to hear about you. We want to hear about this journey and how you got to this level of success.
Well, thank you again for having me, Taylor. I'm so glad to be here. And Clubhouse is amazing for sure. But so as far as me, I guess my story really starts when I was a kid. Since I was a little girl, I just remember 2 things literally from my childhood that stood out to me. And that was that I talked too much. And so I needed to be quiet, and that I was too fat, I guess in the most vulgar terms or easy terms, whatever, that I was too heavy. I didn't really know any better, of course, so I was little. I think I was like 5 years old the first time I was literally told I talked too much. So I was like, okay. Growing up, basically, I didn't really know that I had a weight problem because I don't think we necessarily register that at such a young age. So it's probably like around 11 when I really realized it. And that's when, my family, I went to a restaurant, comments that were really, really derogatory were made. And that was when I really realized that, the girl in the mirror was too loud, talked too much, and too big. And so unfortunately, because of that, it's one thing when you're bullied in school, by kids, because kids can be mean. It's another thing when you can be bullied by your friends, because again, kids can be mean. But it's another thing when you're bullied by your family. And when literally every time you look at something like a burger, or if you go to a restaurant menu and you're being told to eat off the healthy side, it just really messes with you and makes you think that 1, you don't have a voice. And 2, that you're an embarrassment if you don't look a certain way. So that obviously had created so many confidence issues within myself. I definitely had no self-esteem. So one thing is juggling with your weight and being too loud and that annoying girl, but then just being told that no one wanted to be your friend, no one liked you. People literally were really mean. They would be my friend just to pretend for dares. And then they would, embarrass me or humiliate me in front of the school. Wow. Relationships, boys dated me because they were dared to, not because they actually liked me. I didn't know. So, getting attention from a guy, a good looking, cute kid, you think you're special to realize you're just the school joke. So, that was kind of my childhood for a good part. Like, I'm not going to say it was just horrible, but it was, it definitely created a big limiting belief that I was meant to be anything other than an annoying, smart girl. That led me into several very abusive relationships, obviously not knowing my worth. And eventually it did.
Well, I mean, let's talk about this part right here, because, so many things, and there's so many nuggets that we could unpack in what you're saying. First of all, like, I get that part about, I was raised, and, my dad always said, children should be seen and not heard. That's one thing, whenever you stifle a child, not, okay, that's basically communicating to a child, what you have to say is irrelevant and it's not important. So that's one piece of it. The other piece, so this is many different facets of being bullied. And it's one thing being bullied outside, at school, because I was bullied through school. And so I certainly can connect with that, but I can't imagine being really bullied at home, because that's your safe place. That should be your safe haven. That should be the place to where you feel empowered and safe and connected to the people that love you and love you unconditionally. So that had to play, and which, to your point, leads to unhealthy relationships, unhealthy connections. So you're still in school, and so you're dating, or you really haven't really made any true connections because you don't know what that looks like. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, basically, the only thing that I knew of love, like truly knew of love, was the love that my parents had for each other. And I remember telling myself that I hoped one day I had a man that would love me the way my father loved my mother. So just saying that already makes me emotional. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So that was pretty much what kept me going.
So was your dad encouraging, or was your dad, because, a lot of times little girls look to daddy to, to have that kind of connection, because that means future connections at the same time. Yeah. Were you close to your dad, or did that?
It's funny that we're talking about my dad. I think he's the biggest reason why I feel like it's always about him. So I don't ever highlight him as the villain of the story. Even though I guess, I don't know if you'll ever see this, and he'll probably never forgive me for it, but I guess he was the villain of the story. I just never like to put him on blast. So no, my dad was the main person. It was about his image. It was about what people thought of him. It was about what kind of family everyone thought he had. He's an attorney. He was a church man. And so the idea of him being anything outside of that at home, it was just not possible to other people. And because my dad knew, and he was extremely narcissistic and egotistical, while a very, very amazing person, but clearly his image was more important. He would say a lot of really hurtful things. And whenever we would get into arguments, and I would try to tell him, about the things about him, like, you're so mean, or blah, blah, blah. And if only people really knew. And, he would make comments, well, no one's going to believe you. And it's just the truth. I was just the annoying fat kid,
Now, did you have siblings?
I had two little sisters, or I do have two little sisters. They were always the pretty ones, and the golden children, the one that I should be more like. I was just the brains. They wore the bodies. And then my baby sister was beauty and brains. So, I was always kind of like the last one. I was one that I guess I got everything first. So because I got everything first, they were better, I guess, parents to them.
So did that obviously would have had impact on your sisters in the relationship that you had with them, I would suspect.
Yeah. We obviously don't really talk about it ever, but if we really have a real raw conversation, I hated my sisters. for a long time. I had no relationship with them. I passed on the bully to them because I was bullied, and I hated them so much that I bullied them because of jealousy and envy, because I just wanted people. And my dad said, look at me the way he looked at them. Sorry.
It's okay. Bless your heart.
But yeah, it's just the truth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely, I didn't have a relationship with them until I was much older. And once I started working through personal development and realizing that it's not their fault,
Yeah.
that, you know, they had no control over my parents and the way my parents treated them and treated me. And my parents, my sisters little by little became more of like my buddies, you know, as I got older, and we were able to relate to a lot of things. And later on, my mom became closer to me once I learned a lot of truths, because, you know, you only see what people want you to see. So you don't know what's really going on behind closed doors. And little by little, that's when I got to see a lot of truth between who my father was to them and not just to me.
Yeah.
So
it's always about perspective, right? And so
yep.
it's like, and whenever you think about even inside of a family, and what you said, I always say that because most people don't know I came out of an abusive marriage, and everybody thought our family was perfect.
Perfect, huh?
Nobody knew what was happening behind closed doors, right? But the perspective of even what your mom's relationship was, being with your dad being the center, you know, but you couldn't see that because you had your own perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, everybody's looking at it from different angles, and it's, you know, obviously, but if it's three girls, and a mom, there's 4 or 5 different perspectives there as to the dynamics that's unfolding in the relationship. So how did you break free? What, you know, you got out, you got some, you know, did you go to school? Did you go to college? How did you break free and break the cycle?
Well, I was in my, I didn't break the cycle really for a while. Actually, what happened was I got involved with a man, of course, at Lynn High School. And I wanted to escape home. So I left at 17. I had moved out with him. And then I ended up moving back home after like a year for financial and all that other stuff. And but that was my first relationship. That was 10 years. And I learned a lot. It was probably one of the most abusive relationships I ever had. There was no punching and things like that, but some people seem to think that that's the only thing that we called abusive. Not being told, you know, pushed around or bullied as well. And he said a lot of hurtful things. And my dad supported. That was the bad part. Until late. It was too late when he didn't support it. But in the beginning, he used to support and didn't really care how my ex at the time treated me. I'll give you a really quick story. I remember I went home one day after I was working for Pearson Pagoda, which is a jewelry store kiosk. I was the general manager. It was a Friday night. And my boyfriend at the time had asked me if I wanted to go with him to the club, to go to work and to dance and have fun. And I'm a dancer. So I was like, of course. I was so ecstatic because I was like, oh my God, you never take me with you. Which, by the way, that in itself should be questionable. But my self-esteem didn't know any better. He was always going to clubs without me. And so this was my first time I got invited. And we were already together for several years at that point. And I didn't. And then at the last minute, he ended up leaving without me anyways. And I got all dressed up and everything. I remember crying, and I went to my dad's or my parents, and I told my dad about it. I was venting, and I was like, and then my dad literally looked at me and said, well, I don't blame him. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, who the hell wants to be seen with a whale? And, it was, and so I'm crying, and my dad just basically didn't even care. Like, it was about the image. So, yeah. So wow. I didn't break free from that for for 10 years. So you moved back home, but then you stayed with him for 10 years? Well, I moved back home because of financial problems. It wasn't relationship. I mean, I guess I was a part of it, but at the time it was just more of a financial thing.
Okay.
And yeah. And so it was really rough because when I moved out of my house, within 24 hours, my dad converted my bedroom to the office. So he got rid of my bed and everything. So the idea of that ever being my room again was not even possible. And so when I moved back home, my dad was just like, I think he was just like, well, you're going to sleep on the sofa bed and that's your punishment for leaving home. And like, it messed up my back and whatever. And I did that for about 5 months. And then I ended up leaving. We were never able to live under the same roof harmoniously, unfortunately. So it was always a really rough battle.
So, okay. So you continued in the relationship with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
How did you, how does this all play in? So are you going to school? Are you,
I'm in and out of school. I'm in and out of school. Like I'm trying, but basically, you know, where I'm at is towards the end of the 10 years was when I had really became bulimic. Shortly before that was the first time I actually did try to kill myself. I got a knife and tried to do the deed, but didn't get deep enough. And then I was in a very, very depressive state. And I just felt like life was meaningless. And the only thing, and this was what I had shared with a couple other people, is it was in 2009. I'll never forget it. I was at home in my apartment and I had a dog that I adopted. Her name was Princess. And I had adopted her. I had her for years and she was like my buddy. That was like my angel. And I remember just sitting there on the floor, hysterically crying, just really wanting to kill myself at that moment. And I'll never forget, I looked at my dog and I swear I heard her say to me, but who will take care of me and who will love me? And at that moment, I was just like, it's me and you against the world. And she's the reason why I stayed alive. She didn't pass away for another like almost 8 years. And she literally was, every time I ever felt like I had a moment I didn't want to exist anymore, I would just look at her and I would say, I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to leave you here alone. No one's going to love you. No one's going to take care of you like me. And I saved you once before. And I know that this is now you saving me. And so.
You know, God works in mysterious ways, right?
He really does. So, yeah.
You know, I mean, the scripture even talks about how he used a donkey. So I guess if he can use a donkey, he can certainly use a dog.
Yes, he definitely can. He can use anything. God is very magical and amazing.
So how did you break up?
So basically, he had cheated on me several times. I was very bulimic at that time. I started losing weight. My cousin, I ran into at the pet supermarket store, and she was literally just telling me how she needed a place to stay. And I hadn't seen her in a couple of years. She was also my best friend, my cousin, but was my best friend. So she moved in. He wasn't living with me at the time. And just, she was with me through the bulimia. She didn't support it, obviously, but she was with me. But little by little, just having love and kindness on a daily, and just having someone save me. She's also saved me. And eventually she just gave me the courage that I needed to know that even if I didn't know right then and there, that I was worth more. And so after that,
okay.
And then he vanished, actually, believe it or not. He's not missing, like dead or anything, but from one day to the next, he was just gone. Like he just vanished. It's like I wanted him gone and I was ready to leave. And then it's like God literally removed him within 48 hours. It was the craziest. I didn't even know how to feel about it. I was like, God, is this a joke? Like, I don't know. Like, but he vanished. I mean, to this day, it's been 8 years and I've never heard back from him. He literally vanished in 48 hours. He's still alive, but we've never talked or anything.
So I love this message here because ladies, like, I mean, as you're listening here and we're listening and just having this conversation, you know, your cousin, like, how many of us could be that cousin inadvertently, indirectly, directly to someone else in our life that we don't even know or realize the impact that we're having on somebody's life, just being a voice of an encouragement, just, really edifying somebody, empowering somebody, encouraging somebody. That's what I love about this community and what my vision for this community truly is, because it's really taking another woman by the hand and say, you're good enough. You've got this. You know, the text message, the phone call, the voice message, whatever that is, even if you don't live with them, those words have such power that people need and are desperate for in our lives. And so I love it. What's your cousin's name? I think she's amazing.
Her name's Alana. The
Alana.
story about me and Alana is very interesting too. That'll be for later as we go through the journey. But she's no longer in my life, unfortunately. But the way it happened it's more comical, really. It's not, I don't want to say a bad thing. It was just interesting how God puts people in your life sometimes for a season,
I think that's a beautiful story. And and here's the thing, it is seasons and seasons change. Hey, Michelle. So I really enjoy this conversation because, sometimes can be the difference. We can be standing in the gap for someone until they get there, right? We can say, you grab them by the hand and say, you've got this, and walk with them until they have the strength and wherewithal to start moving forward themselves. So how did you break? Did you just automatically stop the bulimia? Did you have to get treatment?
No. So
how did that cycle break?
So that was something I suffered in silence for about 9 years. But so that was the beginning, what I was sharing with you. So I was already a few years into it. And then so let me think. So I was already we separated, and then I kind of started going through my journey. I started obsessively. Now I really did want to get skinny, so that unfortunately was, even though I broke free of him, I think I was a little bit more heightened in my trigger, because now I was like, oh my God, I'm single now. Like, I got to lose weight because no one's going to love me. So obviously the mental effect didn't really clear so much. And so then I went on I started dating another guy, and then he ended up being, I don't even know if he was worse. I'm like, I don't even know if he can get worse sometimes, because sometimes, again, they all think it's about hitting. And I'm like, no, it wasn't about hitting, but he was addicted to drugs and cocaine. But again, you don't know until after. Yeah. So, and then I think I spent most of my life wanting to be the fix-it girl. I think a lot of women, I think, feel that way, that they think that they love has potential and becomes a project without meaning for it to become a project. And I think that's what happened with pretty much all of the guys. And they all ended up, and because I was just so focused on thinking that it was my job to heal them, I dealt with the abuse. I dealt with the way they treated me, because I kept thinking, I never wanted to believe it was truly my fault. It was truly my fault. I think I just wanted to blame it on the childhood or on their trauma. And I always wanted to be an excuse for them for why they treated me that way. And I always felt that I had the power to reverse that or change that. So in trying to do something good, I was hurting me even more. And then I got into a bad car accident, which after the car accident, then it ended up messing up my spine. So I couldn't work out. So then that triggered the bulimia even more, because then I couldn't even work out anymore. And then I had a surgery in 2017. At this point, I'm already now with my ex-fiance, same situation. And I had the surgery done, and then I had to sign a waiver, of course. And then I ended up having a malpractice because I was over-injected with anesthesia, which ended up partially paralyzing my stomach and put me in a hospital for almost a month. So then, yeah, it was just like one thing after the other. It was really crazy.
I've never heard of partial paralyzing your stomach.
Yeah, it's called gastroparesis. It's a paralysis of the stomach. And so it wasn't a full blown, but it was like half dead. So it was kind of crazy. So basically, like, the best way to describe it is like, when you go to a buffet and you eat to the max, and then your stomach, not only do you feel tired and nauseous, but then you feel like your stomach's physically going to explode because you're so full. So, but then obviously it goes away. So imagine that feeling, but that it doesn't go away. You sleep with it, you wake up with it, you're walking around, and that stomach, you're so swollen in your belly. Like, I remember my skin started to separate because it was just getting bigger and bigger. So I was in the hospital because they had to do surgery to remove the ulcers. I started getting ulcers throughout my esophagus all the way down to my stomach because I couldn't digest food fast enough. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you've gotten through this. So this is, and so where are you financially? Where are you mentally? Like, how did you
then or now
from this? Like, no, like so from that, because that's tragedy.
Yeah.
How did you, because that's a lot to overcome.
Yeah.
What was the catalyst? What was that?
Yeah, so the catalyst was, I'm a real estate broker, fast forward, I wasn't really taking care of myself. And then I went to a real estate event, which is when at that moment, I was still in a bad place. And real quick, because I think this ties into that, but, since we are faith-based, I would love to share this. About a week before that event, I was a whole hour in my bedroom reciting a conversation I wanted to have with my ex-fiance, not a breakup, just a conversation. And I remember being afraid because I was like, I don't want an argument. I just want to talk because we couldn't communicate. And I was an hour in the mirror. And then as I went to go talk to him, and it still became a fight. And I remember I went into the bathroom hysterical. I put on the shower and I sat down. And even though I'm already faith-based, I already surrendered myself several times. At that moment, I can say it was pivotal. At that moment, I literally completely surrendered myself 150% again to God, but like in a deeply wounded way. And I said, whatever you want. If I'm supposed to live this life, so be it. If not, show me, because I don't even know anymore. And a week later was when I went to this event, and my upline today, who is literally my best friend, she just came up to me and she's just like, you want to go out to dinner? And I was like, okay. Oh no, I'm sorry. I skipped a day. She just said hi. We exchanged numbers. That's what it was. And then 2 days later, we just exchanged numbers, very brief talking, but 2 days later, another real estate event 2 hours north of that event, she was there again. And I had never seen this girl in my life. And at that event was like, we looked at each other. I was like, oh my God, like, what is this? And she literally, the night before, like the cups with the metal straws, right? The night before, that Thursday, I said to my ex-fiance at the time, I said, isn't it amazing how water tastes so much better and colder with the metal straw? And he thought I was crazy. He's like, okay. But then that Friday, I saw her, I'm walking away, I come back to my booth. She says, come here for a second. I said, okay. I come up to her and she's like, isn't it crazy how amazing water, she said word for word, I get goosebumps. Isn't it amazing how crazy water tastes better and colder with a metal straw? And I was like, like my jaw was just like, this is not possible. Wow. I was like, you understand? And literally, she's like, do you want to work out with me sometime? And I was like, yeah, I would love to. And I had no friends, right? And so I went, and that's how it all started. I worked out with her. And then that's when I learned about personal development. There was like 10 other people, including my current boyfriend today, Joshua, that was at that fitness event, and just was so nice to me. I remember like sitting in my car, sweating, scared. I was like, I'm fat. I don't want to get picked on again. What if they reject me? All these thoughts going through my head. I almost turned around and went home because I was like, oh, I can't do it. And I was like, and I went out and everybody just welcomed me. Everybody was so nice. And I remember asking, I said, how is everyone so nice? And how is everyone so kind? And they literally said, well, because we decided to work on us harder than we work on our jobs. And then later I found out that was the Jim Rohn quote. And I was like, oh. And that was the day my life changed forever, because I knew what it was to feel accepted for who I was. So less than a week later, I went home, packed all my stuff, looked at my ex-fiance and said, I'm done. And I lived out of my car for like a month and a half, and I didn't even care. I was already a 6-figure earner from real estate. But there was just something that didn't want me to belong anywhere. Like I actually was okay living out of my car because I felt like for the first time in my life, I had peace. And I just wanted to get closer to God and learn about myself. And I did.
If you've ever, what you just said, I connect with this in so many ways. Just the word peace, and if you've never been in that kind of environment, that you've had that kind of turmoil, just to be out. I remember thinking, I felt like I had been an uncaged bird. Like I was like free and I was like flying around. I remember that sense of peace, what you just said. I love that. So working out, having community, having people that you connect with, having people that, and here's the thing, I always teach this: environment is stronger than will, right? And, having a place to where you can be around positive people and make such a difference, right? Make such a difference in what you do, how you see it, and what you choose to pursue. So talk about that. So, because this was obviously a very cataclysmic event for you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. I don't know that I didn't know what personal development was. Being around people, like I get it now. It's like, I get it. I was like, be around the people that believe in what's possible for you, even if you don't believe it in yourself. And hold on to that, because it's only a matter of time before, if you allow yourself, you will see the vision of what they see in you. And that's all I kept doing. Yeah. People saw things in me that I didn't see in myself. Like, I will never forget at my first event. The dogs are going insane. I'm so sorry. I never forget at my first event, my first shake party, nobody showed up for me, but literally like 30 guests showed up for other distributors, but it was my event. Like, I was the speaker. And I'll never forget after that, like, my friend came up to me. Well, not even my friend. It was a girl I had just met that we became friends. And she was like, "You're going to be on stage." She's like, "Everybody's going to know who you are." And I'm like, "You just met me." She's like, "I know, but I promise you, I had a vision when you were talking." And I was like, "No one even showed up for me." She's like, "Today." I still remember that 2 years ago. She's like, "Today, no one showed up for you. But you know what you did?" I was like, "What?" She's like, "You showed up for you." And I never forgot about that. And so just little drips of people believing and seeing things that I didn't see. And then now, go figure, Clubhouse, all these beautiful things are finally coming to light. And I'm just like, this is what they mean. Trust the process, trust God, trust the journey. Like, you're not going to see things, and it's okay. Sometimes you just have to go in blind faith, because you know that your purpose and your voice and everything matters more than you could ever imagine. And little did I realize that the girl who was told talk too much and was too big, today now is talking to make a difference, talking and encouraging other women. Don't let other people shut you up. You weren't meant to be silenced, or otherwise we wouldn't have voices. God would have never given us voices to talk if we weren't meant to talk. God would have never given us opportunity if we weren't and free will if it wasn't meant for us to think about what's possible and believe. And so I think about all that. And now I'm a health and nutrition coach and empowerment coach. And I just want to do everything in my power to just help not only let women know that your voice is your superpower, but the light that you have, that lantern within you, if you allow it, it'll never be able to burn out. And you just got to go with it. And that's what I believe.
I love that. Because here's the thing, there's nobody any better to be a coach or a mentor than somebody that's walked in the shoes, right? And they know the path. They know what it's like to walk in your shoes and to lead you through it. And so such a powerful story. So now you have a boyfriend now.
Yeah, the same guy that was part of that fitness event. He was just there. and he's 10 years younger. So we all make little jokes about it because
so
I never was like in a million years, like I'll never forget when he was trying to talk to me and I'm like, you're like a kid. You need to go. And let's just say he made sure that I did not see him as a child. We'll leave it at that. Nothing bad happened, just like, it's just a really funny story for, you know, just how he made sure that he got my attention. And he, you know, between him, like, look, at the end of the day, I can say this wholeheartedly. For everything that I have today, when I think about what I went through, if anybody asks me, would I go through it all over again just to be where I am today, have the friends that I have, be with the man that I'm with, everything, I would say 150%, no matter how much pain and turmoil it was. If I knew that going through all that meant having all this, I mean, I wouldn't even second guess going through that again.
So what about the relationship with your family? Has that been restored?
Yes and no. You know, me and my dad, you know, we've been able to rekindle to a certain degree. I think it's just more like I've just released it. He's not a bad man, and I've forgiven him. But he, you know, just certain people don't really want to change. I wouldn't say that he's so much really verbally abusive anymore because I don't give room for that. I don't create room for that. And you know, he doesn't even know that I do this. I've tried talking to him about the fact that I'm a speaker now. You know, so I always think about what Grant Cardone says, and he's just like, the best revenge is massive success. And so I'm like, you know what? You don't need to believe in me, Daddy. I was like, I believe in me. People believe in me. God believes in me. And when it's your turn, and I realize that because of how he feels towards me, I've come to learn through personal development, it actually has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't bother me anymore. I don't seek validation. I pray for him because I think at the end of the day, the turmoil really lies within himself. Yeah. And I think that that's why he is, you know, how he is. But he's trying, you know, and I think that it's better to try than not try. So
yeah, I love that. So you now have, so you do, are you doing, so this turned into your business, it turned into your network marketing business, you're now coaching. So, and you've had like a big success in a short amount of time. So that's powerful. I love that. So the ladies that are listening, let's just say, what would be the best advice, or what would be the things that you would want them to walk away with today, listening to you speak?
Walking away, I would just love every woman out here to know that she's worthy, that she matters. It's not cliche, it's because it's true. We're going to go through challenges in life more often than we can ever imagine. And the challenges are going to continue to come, but not because of any other reason than to continue sharpening the iron within us. You know, we all are meant and destined to do great things. We all have greatness inside of us. We are all meant to go through the battlefield to become the warrior we're meant to be. At the end of the day, wherever you're at, if you're in a hard time, just know that it's always the way it's supposed to be. And God gives us free will. So at any time, we can always make the decision to pivot somewhere. I'm not saying it's going to be easy to escape because, like you said, your environment is very powerful when it comes to your free will. Yeah. But if you can at least seek and stay close to the fire, like you hear, stay close to the people that empower you. And if you don't have a physical person that can be that for whatever reason, listen, seek leadership, study leadership, read the books, listen to the audios, go out with purpose and find the solution that you're personally looking for. You know, listen to the things that are going to uplift you and remove the people in your life that don't serve you, because everybody's going to look like they serve you. But at the end of the day, most people serve themselves. Yeah. And so you just have to know where you truly fit in. And sometimes that starts with just knowing and believing that you matter. And if you can just take little steps, because some people think that you have to do everything overnight, just little steps, even if it's just, you know, joining a community. Even this community is amazing. So I'm sure every woman gets so much value being here, you know, and just surrounding yourself with the things that are going to fire you up in a good way, and just start eliminating little by little the things that aren't going to fire you up in a good way. I didn't have any of this when I was going through all this. So I can't imagine how different my life would have turned out. Not that I wanted to change, but I can't imagine how different it could have been had I had a community and a support system and personal development, and women who just believed and loved me for who I was, where I was at, and not where I was trying to go.
Love that. That's so good. That's really good. Well, Cris, okay. So, and, you know, do you have like, maybe you can give some tips, like maybe like a favorite book that it's like your go-to, or maybe your favorite book that you're reading right now? I mean, you want to share that with the girls?
Yes. So, okay, a couple of my favorite books, and I will share the one I'm reading right now. So I read a book by Garen Jones that he wrote, I think it was last year, incredible book. And it's called Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life. And it's a powerful book because it was the book that helped me to truly understand what it meant to forgive. And so it was a very beautiful and powerful book. And then one of my favorite books, it's such a simple read, but it's so nice, is 12 Pillars by Jim Rohn.
Yep.
Great short audiobook, you know. And then the book I'm reading right now is the new one that was just released by Jamie Kern Lima. It's called Believe It. And I have to put a timer on because I don't want to put it down. It's so good.
That's awesome. I love books. I love audiobooks. It's definitely, I mean, I remember starting my journey the same way whenever they said, you know, if you just work harder on you, then you do your business will work, your business will come. And I was like,
crazy, right?
What does that even mean? Like, right? So, well, good thing we figured out what it meant. Now it's time to show the people what it means, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. What a fun visit we've had. I'm sure that your story will definitely touch other ladies. I mean, so much. I know there's a lot to unpack there, but definitely looking forward to hearing more about you and Alana. Like, I think that's going to be a journey that we would have to tap into. So,
yeah.
So ladies, I hope you have a blessed, amazing day. I hope that you got some nuggets out of today. I hope that it made you believe how much your story can impact somebody around you, that you can create that ripple effect in somebody else's life. You just got to be willing to share and open your mouth. So that is it for us. This is Taylor Thompson live with Cris Cortez. Thank you so much, Cris. Thank you, ladies. I hope you have a blessed day, and we will see you next week. Bye.